Right there, you guys. Over here, big wave. Make sure this works. Perfect. All right. Well, thank you for the introduction. I do have some preliminary comments I want to make before I go into my formal remarks. But what I first like to do is say good morning or good afternoon. It's certainly nice to be here. I want to first thank Madam President Renteria for this invitation, and I know they're all here, but just please tell the Chamber of Commerce, the Board of Directors, thank you very much for this. This is really quite an honor. It is my first one, so it really is quite an honor to be here. Also, I'd like to ask Madam President if I could take this small liberty and, of course, wish Jorge Espinosa a big happy birthday. Where's Jorge at? Look at this guy right here. Right there. You know, I got some, we got some pretty good staff that were able to, research that. So, yeah. But they did say you're 23 years old, which I think your Facebook page is incorrect. Yeah. I also want to thank Comcast and thank Ken. I've known Ken for some time. I met him when I first got elected back in 2010, and we've been great friends over the years. And it is true, and thanks for the plug. He has, Comcast has supported the Kids Breakfast Club over the years, and we have been able to provide programming when during the winter break and spring break when school isn't in session. And every year, unexpected, and this really is unexpected, every year Comcast always comes through with a pretty significant contribution. And so I wanted to thank you for your support on that. I also want to, really thank the sponsors here. I was going to get a program, but I didn't have a chance to get one. But really, thank you for your support for today, and really thank you for creating this space for us to come together as a community and talk about the future. Also, are there anybody from the Leadership Hayward here today? Where's the Leadership Hayward? Yeah, yeah, that's right, council member. Yeah, I'm good, right here. So let's give the Leadership Hayward class a big round of applause. I'm a participant in Leadership Hayward. I was a participant in Leadership Hayward. I forget what year it was. It was like 2005 or something. And I'm glad I participated in it. And I also want to say thank the Chamber for preserving this program. This is, I know it takes a full day out of all of your busy schedules, but the program really does teach you about local government and about the people who are making decisions shaping our city's future. Hayward, as you very well know, is a very complex ecosystem, and people from every institution, every agency, nonprofit, and neighborhood committee do contribute and do make this city a better day every day. And so, and that's what Leadership Hayward does. It really shows you and really teaches you how this ecosystem works. I wanted to call out a couple of people. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my colleagues on the City Council. I know there's 2 of them here today, and I think there's only 2 here today. But I'd like to call out Council Member Julie Roach. Yep. And I wanted to also call out Council Member George Syrup. George, when I was elected to the City Council back in 2010, I was the youngest one on the City Council. It's interesting because when Councilmember Syrup was elected, he's now the youngest one on the City Council. I am not. To some extent, I really do see myself in George in a lot of different ways, and so I really wanted to appreciate all of your contributions to the council. Thank you. I didn't see any school board members here, but I did want to acknowledge interim superintendent Wu Chin Fernandez. He's sitting over there. And I also wanted to acknowledge a couple of BART directors, Director Rayburn, Mr. Rayburn, Dr. Rayburn, who coincidentally is a professor, right? So is a transportation or engineering professor. And also, of course, Director Ames, Elizabeth Ames, so, who I believe also has a PhD too. And yeah, so, we also wanted to acknowledge some AC Transit partners, Director Shaw, Director Peoples, Director McCauley, one of the newest members, but a very seasoned transportation professional. He did not stand up and he did not raise his hand, and I'm sure it's because he doesn't like to commingle, but I would be remiss if I did not introduce to you Moraga Town Council Member, Councilmember Kellis. So, hey, you get love in Hayward, bro. All right. I did want to also just really acknowledge the team at Hayward. We have, I always say she's one of our fierce leaders in the city, and that's our city manager, Kelly McAdoo. Before I introduce the rest, I forgot one other person. When I became mayor, every month, all the mayors of Alameda County get together and we meet and we, talk about mayor things, right? And one of the colleagues who really welcomed me to this group. I mean, it's a group of 14, and we're all from Alameda County. The one mayor that really welcomed me to the group and really made me feel comfortable and has served as this person to show me sort of the ropes of this space, and that's Mayor Lily May from Fremont. So. I also want to acknowledge our assistant city manager, Dustin McClawson, and of course we have the other assistant city manager, Regina Youngblood. Regina, there you go. The guy who, when you walk by his office, when you walk by the city manager's office, you hear, typewriter, or not typewriter, but the keyboard, pecking and ticking and all that. When you walk by Councilmember Syrup's office, you hear, I don't know, Drake. I don't know. But when you walk by Paul Nguyen's office, our economic development manager, you hear cash registers. Right. So our economic development manager, Paul Nguyen. Yeah. And then, of course, the ones that really organize, and really make a lot of this go smoothly, Chuck Finney, our PIO, Zaki Body, and Bothar. They're the ones that are filming everything, and they make sure everything goes quite smoothly. So, to get started, and by the way, I have held, one of the new things I've started as mayor is I have required that staff, when they come to council meetings, that their presentations are 5 slides, 5 to 7 slides, right? And it's worked because council meetings are now, I think on Tuesday we had our longest council meeting, but council meetings now are about a couple of hours or so, give or take. So I had 5 slides, I was ready to go, and so forth. Until the other day, Frank Farrell calls me and says, we need for you to have a longer presentation, right? And so, after some back and forth, I gave in. So I hope you cleared your calendar tonight because we're going to be here. I have 400 slides and I have 88 pages to get through. So talk to Frank after I'm done. Right. So 156 days ago, I was sworn in as Hayward's 9th mayor. 28 years after the Mexican-American War. See, I'm going to start in 1846. 28 years after the Mexican-American War and the signing of the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848, Hayward was established in 1876. Since then, there have been 2 changes in its governance structure. And in 1966, Hayward started electing mayors independently, thus starting what we now refer to as the office of the mayor. In 1954, my father, as a teenager, moved from New Mexico to Hayward. His mother died when he was very young, and his home life wasn't very stable. My father had an aunt who lived in Hayward, and she lived right across the street from the Hayward Airport on a street called Chenault Way. In 1962, my parents married, and they settled in South Hayward, right across the street from St. Bede's Church and school. I went to St. Bede's. On August 26, you ready, Ken? No. On August 26, 1970, there were 5 babies born at St. Rose Hospital. One of those babies would go on and grow up in the Schaefer Park neighborhood, attend Hayward schools, graduate from Hayward High, go Farmers, participate in the Chabot College Puente Project, transfer to San Francisco State, get a bachelor's degree in La Raza Studies and a master's degree in Educational Administration and Public Policy Studies, and then go on to become the 9th mayor of the city of Hayward. All right. And in fact, my advisor, my graduate school advisor is sitting right over there, Frank Garcia, right there. I begin this brief history of my family because my family and I have lived the entire Hayward experience, from newcomer to generational, and from cradle to career. My parents and my family are direct beneficiaries of institutions, agencies, and churches throughout the city. My parents were engaged. They were active community volunteers, and they invested their lives and their family in Hayward. I am proud to be born and raised in Hayward, and particularly South Hayward. And I am proud of the fact that it were Hayward schools and teachers who were the ones that prepared me for today. I have attended many State of the City events over the years, but this one really does hit differently. This one is personal. So as your mayor, I am pleased to say the following: the state of the city is good. Our financial position is stable. Today, we have all 7 council members or 6 council members seated, and I can honestly say we have the best executive team in the Bay Area, leading approximately 1,000 city employees who are innovative, creative, and committed to the city's priorities and our strategic roadmap. I can honestly say that today we have the team and we have the community support to make one of the biggest comebacks in the city's history. Back in March, I was invited to a ribbon cutting for a Hayward business called Icon Therapeutics. This is Icon's 2nd location in Hayward, and this new facility spans across a 55,000 square foot building. This company uses super resolution microscopy, advanced engineering, and high performance computing to measure in real time the movement of individual proteins in living cells. They are producing medicines to stop people from dying from grievous illnesses. While I was standing next to the Icon CEO, Dr. Roger Perlmutter, he was reporting all the company's successes to approximately 200 scientists, engineers, and investors that were there. Then, while he was introducing me, he said this, and I quote, "Hayward is the center of the life sciences universe," right? The center. That was and I remember, I think I turned to Councilmember Syrup and I went, like, who would have thought that, right? We were standing right there. Incredible. Then, last week, I participated in another grand opening at a company called Airmax, and this company sits in a newly built out 22,000 square foot facility, and the scientists and engineers here conduct basic research experiments to find and then manufacture biotherapeutics to treat and cure chronic diseases. The first chronic disease that they're going to go after is glaucoma. The idea came from Dr. Liu was at an eye doctor, and this is where this whole sort of idea came to him. As President and CEO, Dr. Sean Liu, and by the way, Edgar, he's also a Stanford grad, just for the record, when he was delivering his marks, he said this, and he made it very clear. He said he was working on making Hayward the center of the biotherapeutics universe, right? I mean, here we are in 2 very close areas of industrial Hayward, and you have these 2 highly educated scientists talking about making their discipline the center, making Hayward the center of that universe. It was incredible. As I was standing there and listening to his remarks and waiting for my cue to grab the microphone, take the microphone, I thought to myself, this was it. This is it. This was really our moment. Our moment really is today. It is now. And we need to invest in it, we need to build it, and we need to confidently stand front and center in every room as we lead in economic development, housing, infrastructure, and especially education. I thought that would get an applause, but I'll get it. We're going to be here all night, Mike. All night we're going to be here. 2 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, the City Council renewed its commitment to one of the most important priorities for Hayward families: to preserve, protect, and produce housing for all income levels. A week ago, the council gave the city manager the green light to launch a social impact bond program that will organize housing investors to purchase blighted homes in Hayward neighborhoods, and then offer first-time home buyers and low-income families down payment assistance to purchase homes and start their families, right? This is pretty incredible. Now, this is the important part. When their family grows and they need a bigger home, they can sell that home and they will be able to keep a large share of the appreciation, right? This is how we're preserving existing housing and simultaneously helping homeowners grow their families and fundamentally build family wealth. 45% of Hayward families today are renters. They rent. And in some census tracts, more than 80% of the families rent their home, right? Like in South Hayward. This is why the City Council passed one of the most comprehensive residential rent stabilization ordinances in Alameda County. This ordinance protects tenants from unlawful rent increases, unlawful evictions, and simultaneously, this ordinance invests in legal protection services in cases disputes go to court or end up in court. Hayward has also permitted, and this is pretty interesting, Hayward has also permitted more housing than most cities in Alameda County, right? This is the Bay East folks over there. We come in third to only 2 other cities, Oakland and Fremont, right? But we continue to remain a leader in the county. Most cities across the state do not meet their affordable housing goals. Hayward, however, has been launching programs and funding developments to change that. We are exceeding our goals for above moderate income housing, but compared to the state, we are producing, or I should say, and compared to the state, we are producing less moderate income level housing, but producing more low and very low income housing, right? So we're outpacing the state in developing housing for low and very low income families, right? And I was going to have the sentence here that says, I'm not keeping score, but, let's just acknowledge, that we're beating the state on this one. I was hoping I'd see some state folks here, but I don't see anybody here, As of today, 3,546 homes are being built or are permitted to be built. So all you have to do is drive up and down Mission Boulevard and see all of the housing being built. There are 430 affordable units under construction, and approximately 200 more are in the pipeline to be built in the next couple of years. And so I should also add, just since we're on this topic, I should add that 125 micro units are almost completed right behind Chabot College, and this development will help individuals transition from where they are now to a healthier and more sustainable life. So clearly, in the housing space, we could be very proud of the work that we are doing, all of us, that we are doing in really producing homes for every single income level in the city of Hayward. As we are leading in the housing space, we are looking ahead to one of the most innovative strategies to meet the needs of one of Hayward's most pressing issues, not only in Hayward, but across the region and the state, and that is Hayward's unhoused population. But the good news is this: Hayward's unhoused population decreased last year by 22%, right? In fact, Madam City Manager, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hayward was the only city in the county to have a decrease, right? The only city. Last year, the owners of St. Regis called me. St. Regis over there on Mission and Foothill and Jackson. Last year, the owners of St. Regis called me and asked if I knew of anyone who might want to buy St. Regis. The owner passed away and the family was selling the facility. The city manager and I connected St. Regis to Bax, and I am pleased to report today that early next year, St. Regis will open a full-service center with 200 new beds for individuals who need short-term and long-term care for substance abuse and behavioral health treatment. This will change the game in the city of Hayward. I was hoping to see, well, I'll tell you in a moment, because this is a funny story. A few years ago, I found myself in the middle of an argument between two good friends of mine, whose families are longtime Hayward families who have a very long history of investing in housing and in other developments in Hayward. It was interesting because I found myself in the middle of these two arguments. They were arguing, I say arguing, I'm sort of overemphasizing it, but basically they were arguing whether or not the car industry was dead on Mission Boulevard. On one side of the argument, the thinking was Hayward's once iconic Auto Row was over, and therefore the city needed to plan for more housing on these sites, particularly on the Ford site where the old Ford dealership was. On the other side of the argument, it was simply this. Cars were coming back, and we needed to plan for a new and improved Auto Row and not housing. In short, what was interesting about this is that they were both right? We built housing on the Ford site, and shortly thereafter, simultaneously, Subaru opened. In fact, Kia has pulled out a business license in Hayward, and Honda is moving from where they are at now to a new location just further up Mission Boulevard. So both Mr. Varney and Mr. Sabalas were both right. Today, Hayward has one of the most diverse economies in the Bay Area, and we have an economic development team, including the chamber, who know their discipline, and they are very serious about our comeback. And I should also say, when Mr. Varney is right and when Mr. Sabalas is right, we all benefit, right? Yeah, you can clap for that. When I was sworn in and I delivered my first remarks, I was clear about this. I said economic development and downtown Hayward were my top priorities. I am pleased to report that if everything goes as planned, you will see one of the most iconic downtown restaurants opened again by July. Let's clap that up. We don't know what it is yet. You don't know what it is yet, but trust me. There's another group of restaurant owners with a very successful track record in Hayward. They're also proposing a promising concept that will totally elevate the food scene in downtown Hayward. Additionally, if everything goes as planned, an outdoor food and drink concept will open in January of 24, in between the Masonic Building and the Bank of the West. So things are moving in downtown, and our economic development team is working hard to get these projects off the ground. If you were in downtown on April 29th for the Cinco de Mayo event, or on May 13th for the May Day event, then you would have witnessed some of the largest crowds for the outdoor street parties. In fact, May Day, I asked the police department, they suspected there was over 10,000 people there on the May Day event. And if it's not on your calendar, and I know Frank said it earlier, put June 15th on your calendar because Mayor Pro Tem Andrews is organizing another Juneteenth festival. If the festivals were any indication, I suspect Juneteenth and the street parties to be packed this summer and be successful. And the thing about the street parties is that I think it was our past CEO Kim Huggett, where it was the street parties were what did you call it, Kim? Hayward's family reunion, right? Yeah, there you go. So truly, these street parties they're more than just an event. They are truly Hayward's family reunion. Downtown Hayward is my focus, and at least in the short term. We have to do whatever we can do, and we have to focus whatever we need to focus on downtown, because when downtown is successful, the city is successful. Yeah. You can pop that on. So there are 12,080 students enrolled at Cal State East Bay. There are approximately 14,000 students enrolled at Chabot College, and there are approximately 20,500 students enrolled in the Hayward Unified School District. This means this morning, approximately 50,000 students woke up this morning to go to school in Hayward, from preschool to graduate school. And that's just the 3 public institutions. I'm not even including the private schools, the charter schools, and some of the other public schools. I have looked at those enrollments, and on any given school day, over 64,000 students go to school in the city of Hayward. And that's roughly 42% of our entire population of our city, right? Conservatively speaking, all of our academic institutions produce an economy well over $600 million. What I am not including in this number are things like real estate holdings. Cal State East Bay, Chabot College, and St. Bede's, they have real estate, right? And they have real estate holdings. And the other, what I'm also not including are student, faculty, and staff contributions to businesses within this sort of city school ecosystem. Faculty, students, administrators, everybody. We buy food, we take the bus, we take BART, you got 64,000 kids and students that go to school here. We engage in virtually every aspect of this city. 12 years ago, when I was first elected to the city council, I fought hard to include the chapter titled Education and Lifelong Learning in the general plan. There wasn't enthusiastic support on the council for this chapter because the relationship, and I'll just sort of be real honest with you, the relationship between the city and schools was either non-existent or it was not good. For whatever reason. But in 2014, the council did adopt the new general plan, and they adopted with this chapter. Now today, developers and economic developers have to consider this chapter when they plan and build anything in the city of Hayward. Hayward is a city of schools. there is a school in every neighborhood. And in some neighborhoods, there is a community college, there is a California State University, and a nationally recognized chiropractic college. Nearly all of you went to one of these schools, if not all of them. How many of you went to all schools in Hayward? Elementary, high, and college, right? There you go. Yep. And if you don't live in Hayward, you probably went to Cal State East Bay. How many of you went to Cal State East Bay? Right? Well, I have a sentence here. I have my line here. I sort of blew it, but I go. Nearly all of you in this room went to one of these schools, if not all of them. And if you don't live in Hayward, you probably attended California State University Hayward or East Bay, depending on when you graduated. Right? That was my little joke. But anyway, this year, with Cal State East Bay President Kathy Sandeen, Dr. Sandeen, Chabot College President Dr. Susan Sperling, HUSD Trustee Okenda, and with the Hayward Chamber of Commerce CEO Frank Farrell, I am launching what I am calling Hayward as an Education City. Yeah. Education City is an idea. It is a lens through which we consider our work. And it's an investment so future generations grow up healthy and educated. We have the capabilities and assets here in Hayward to literally stop generational poverty and set new trajectories for Hayward families. Literally. The Hayward Promise neighborhood, Dr. Nelson, right? The Hayward Promise neighborhood is one such example of a citywide investment with the purpose to stop generational poverty. While working with 15 partners from healthcare to early childhood education to K-12 to college to career, they are in the middle of making an $82.5 million investment in Hayward neighborhoods, in some of the lowest income neighborhoods in Hayward, with the goal to stop, the sole goal to stop generational poverty, right? This is a Cal State East Bay grant for the direct benefit for Hayward kids and their families. What comes out of the Hayward Promise neighborhood are policies, best practices, neighborhood activities, as well as, and most importantly, healthy and strong kids ready to learn and pursue thriving careers. HPN literally is stopping poverty in Hayward. And I should say, the other thing that the Hayward Promise neighborhood produces is the 9th mayor of the city of Hayward. In addition to the Hayward Promise neighborhood, the fire department has taken the concept of Education City and has built a state-of-the-art firehouse and training center. It's planned to open in June. The Firehouse and Training Center is a partnership. You ready for this? Between the City of Hayward, Chabot College, and ROP, the Regional Occupation Center. 3 agencies and 3 leaders convened a working group and literally built the platinum standard for training future firefighters. And I know he's not here, but he'll hear us. Let's give Chief Contreras from the fire department a big round of applause for really starting this. The other one is, we really have to thank our partners at Chabot College, because this would not have happened, literally, if it weren't for Chabot stepping in and helping this. And when I say stepping in, that's code for helping us pay for it, right? And I mean, this is incredible. If you haven't seen it or if you haven't driven by it, it absolutely is. It's a fantastic place. Not only will this center make Hayward safer, it will also put Hayward students on an education that will lead to outstanding careers and strong and thriving families. Thank you, Dr. Sperling. Thank you, Chief Contreras. And of course, and I don't think she's in the room either, but thank you, Linda Granger from ROP, from really being, you know, the spirit of this. And I just noticed this, Zach. I don't know if you intended this, but the slides actually change slides within the. Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right. I thought it was flickering, and I was like, what? You know, but nice. So you're actually getting like 3 slides in one slide. Nice. So, building for the future. Considering what Cal State East Bay has done, considering what the Hayward Promise neighborhood is doing, and considering what the fire department is building, this is what we ought to consider when building the future. When we built the new library, we didn't even call it a library. We called it a library and community learning center because we planned for people to check out books as well as have a space to explore technology, make things, and come together for community and activities. As we look ahead and plan to build a new STAC center, the people at the table include the city, the school district, the park district, Cal State East Bay, Chabot College, HPN, La Familia, Tiburcio Vasquez. I mean, you got virtually everyone in this room has a seat at that table, right? This center, when built, will be a full-service facility for Hayward kids and their families to learn, play, and grow. If Hayward voters say yes and give us another opportunity to renew Measure C, this will be a great opportunity to build a new state-of-the-art public safety and training facility. As we reimagine public safety, and as we think about building a new building, this is our opportunity to follow the fire department and build a center where we can be the platinum standard in recruitment, training, and preparing the best police officers and public safety professionals for Hayward. Period. I am optimistic about building the future because we have all of the assets here to build what we need in every policy environment. That is why I sound so confident today. So I conclude with this. Actually, this is only page 32. I have 50 more pages to go. So I conclude with this. This really is our moment, and we need to take advantage of it. We have every asset available in this city to make a successful comeback as we get out of COVID and as we sort of move into the future. We have the people, we have the imaginations, we have the creativity, and if this room is any indication, we have the enthusiasm to get it done. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
So for the Q&A session, we only have a microphone, so you have to repeat the questions we asked.
Oh, okay. So we only have one microphone, so if you have an easy question, I will repeat it. If it's a hard question, I will move on to the next question. So, question, Ms. Lane.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, since you were now past 100 days as being mayor of our city, have you found any surprises or things that you
Yeah. So, do you guys hear that? So basically, have there been any surprises or things I didn't expect now that I'm in this new role? You know, kind of an interesting story. Immediately after the election, it was like the next day or two after November, on the election night, I got this email from Harvard, the Kennedy School, and the Kennedy School of Government, and it was this email inviting me to this, retreat for new mayors to, and the first 100 days. And we get a lot of these, I get a lot of these advertisements, and I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know, and so I kind of sat on it, and it was kind of weird. Like, they were inviting me to go to this Harvard thing, and, I thought, well, that's kind of weird. Well, I sat on the email, and then like the following day, I got another follow-up email, and I was like, this is kind of interesting, and I didn't know what it was. So the third email I got, I forwarded it to the city manager, and I said, hey, do you know about this? Less than right after I hit submit, she replied, go. She goes, do it. And I'll tell you what it was is that there were mayors all across the country, from small towns to medium cities to large cities. There were 30 of us, or 25 or 30 of us, all across the country that we went and we strategized together for the first 100 days of our term. And what was interesting was we covered things around scheduling. We covered things about putting together an agenda. We talked. And the professors that taught the retreat, that were leading the retreat sessions, they were all these like nationally recognized people that we see on television. One of the afternoons was all on public safety, and we had Charles Ramsey. Have you ever seen Charles Ramsey on CNN? Like, you walk into the room, to the lecture hall, and there was Charles Ramsey sitting here. Like, whoa, Mr. Ramsey, how you doing? Chief Ramsey. He was a retired. He was the chief of police in Washington, D.C. when the Pentagon was hit on 9/11, right? So talk to him about, keeping cities safe, right? This guy was incredible. Anyways, and of course, one of the afternoons we talked about scheduling, and the scheduler for Michael Bloomberg was the professor who taught and led that session. So, those 4 days that I was there, I really was able to just really focus on what we do the first 100 days. And a lot of that stuff I did. One of the very first things I did was I saw to it that I would have scheduled one-on-ones with every single council member as we proceed and do our work. I think it's important that we talk to each other, and I think it's important that we know what each other are doing so we can support each other and usher things right along. I think another sort of nice thing was, the relationship with Mayor Halliday and I. It wasn't very good the first 6 years when I was running against her. No, I'm kidding. Mayor Halliday and I, we have a really good relationship. So our transition from her to me, it was seamless. And I think staff, really appreciated that sort of seamless transition, because we were able to, get things done, at least in the short term. I'm just happy that, the worst thing I had to deal with is the storms during the New Year's. And we had to call in FEMA. A Street collapsed. But we were able to get it built up again. And the main issue with the A Street was that Hayward had not been included on the list of recognized cities for disaster relief. And so, working with our legislator, working with Congressman Swalwell, we were able to get Hayward on the list. So then we were able to get funding through the county and stuff like that. So now we have A Street. So, it's been neat, and we didn't anticipate, having to appoint 2 council members in the last 6 months or 4 months, but we have today I can honestly say, and I say this everywhere I go, that we have a very good council right now. It's strong. We're all sort of in the same group think, and we're working together. I think you should be very proud of the council that we've been able to assemble, because we really are focused on the priorities and the strategic initiatives moving forward. Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, congratulations.
Thank you.
I see a lot of construction and it's great what you're doing, but I would like to hear a little bit more about the environment. Since it's very important for you and for everybody in the future, what is the city doing in regards to the environment?
So the first thing, we are, on Tuesday, we just heard we just had a work session on not renewing, but editing and improving our climate action plan, right? And it's this huge document. It's I don't know how big is the climate action plan, Dustin? 800 pages or something like that. But let me say this, and to keep it at a very high level. Hayward, is probably one of the cities in Alameda County that is really leading in this space. And I'll just give a couple of highlights. One is our water treatment plant right now is fully powered by solar, right? In fact, we produce more energy, or actually, let me say it this way. We produce so much energy through our solar farm that it's too much for the water treatment plant. So what we do is we then send it off to power other city buildings, right? I mean, that's pretty good, right? Yeah, you can clap that up. So there's that. Another sort of neat feature is when we built the library. The library is at the highest level of LEED certification. And the thing is this, not only is the building built with materials that are, recycled and so forth. In fact, I heard, and I don't know, Mr. Finney, Chuck, do you know, you might remember this, or I might have thought about it in a dream, but the panels on the outside of the library are recycled materials, and the recycled material, if I'm not mistaken, are like jeans. Yeah, anyways, I think I remember, yeah. I don't know if they're Levi's or Wrangler or what, yeah, so all the materials are that. Now, the thing is this, and some of you may not know this, is not only is the building one of the most advanced green buildings, around, but the water of that building comes from a pool that is underneath the Heritage Park that we built. So when we brought the library down, there was a basement underneath the library. Well, instead of just filling up the basement with dirt and building on top, what we did was we put these they're like these water cells underneath the library, so that when it rains, water falls onto the ground and it seeps through the ground and fills up these pools, these water cells, and we use that water to water the park and to flush the toilets and stuff like that in the library. So, I mean, everything we're doing has been thoughtful, intentional, and green, right? One of the things that we talked about on Tuesday, and I'll end on this point, is that we are moving in a direction where we're going to begin, and there's projects that we've already approved, but we're going to begin looking at having 100% electrical when we do new development. So electrical, appliances and making sure that all new homes are equipped with, with charging outlets and stuff like that. We already have approved developments where we've required 100% electrical, and so we're, we're really working hard to do our part. And I should also say, now since I'm looking at the good people from AC Transit, I know AC Transit absolutely is working aggressively on having cleaner buses, and so that when buses come, when they come to Hayward and drive through Hayward, that we're getting the cleanest technology possible. And of course, BART is equally clean and just runs right through, right? So, yeah. Ms. Cowherd.
Following up on that, what's the city doing to encourage and make sure that there are enough electric vehicle charging stations in all parts of the city for all income levels?
Yeah. Well, in fact, we just had this conversation on Tuesday. Nice. AC/DC. Nice. So there's a couple of things we're doing. When we, in the immediate, there we go. In the immediate term, is when we approve developments, is to make sure that those developments, regardless of income level, especially in low income housing, we want to make sure that those new developments that are being built have charging stations and have, that are built into the unit itself. So like when the driveway or even in the parking lot. So we want to make sure that whatever we build it includes those amenities for, for electric cars and other, electrified, vehicles. And so that's, there's that. The other, what else? I'm trying to think. Yeah.
We're working with EDCE to put new charging stations downtown.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So we're looking at our energy EB what?
EDCE.
Yeah. EB what? Say it again. East Bay Community Energy, of course. So it's putting more charging stations in downtown. And I kind of looked at George Syrup Councilmember Syrup when you said that, because the issue that we're finding ourselves in is we don't know if we have enough parking stalls or spaces to put the demand that is out there, because one of the points that was brought up to us was there has been a sharp increase in purchasing electric vehicles. And particularly, and if I could stand corrected, Councilmember Syrup, or even Councilmember Roach, that I think our Public Works Director said Tuesday night that Alameda County, I believe, is one of the counties in California that has the most electric vehicles in the state, and so we're trying to sort of keep up with that. And so those are a few things that we're doing. Yeah, Madam President.
So you mentioned that the city is an ecosystem. We all blend together, or we all live together.
Yep.
St. Rose Hospital. Hospitals are in trouble right now, small hospitals in cities. And how do we save that hospital to make sure that we continue to serve our community? How can we come together and help them?
Yeah. Well, I'll say this, and I know, Mr. Cobb is sitting there, and I don't know why you put Mr. Cobb in the front row when you asked that question, but I will say this, and I say this with a great deal of confidence. I will not, and I know I'll speak on behalf of my colleagues, that I don't think we will let St. Rose fail, period. Right? That's one.
You were born there, I want to make sure.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's the reason why a lot of the St. Rose doctors and nurses supported me, because they said, this brother right here is, this guy will not let his birthplace fail. But, so what do we do about St. Rose? Well, it's a private hospital, right? And one of the challenges that St. Rose has, and there's a lot of, depending who you talk to and what agency they represent and whether they're from the state or county or whatever, there's a lot of different explanations on what to do, and there's a lot of different strategies on what to do. But one of the difficult, one of the difficult challenges that we have is that because St. Rose is a nonprofit standalone hospital, it's difficult to sort of channel or calibrate state and county money, but particularly county funds. At least that's what the county is saying. But I think when we talk about the future of St. Rose, I think it's going to take more than just what the county is going to be providing us. I mean, the county can give us $25 million, and they could even give us $25 million yearly. They can put us in there, as a line item in their budget, and we'd be grateful for that. But I don't think that that's going to be a very sustainable, plan. So I think what we might want to consider, and this is, and dare I say it, but something that I know people are talking about and exploring is whether or not we put a measure on the ballot that provides funding for St. Rose, right? Now, let me tell you, just so you know where my head is, and this is something I know the council grapples with. Hayward voters, for all intent and purposes, Hayward voters, we're very generous. We're very generous. We've never failed a school bond. Every bond that went to building schools, they've passed, right? We've also never failed a city parcel tax or even, a measure to increase a hotel tax, right? We haven't increased hotel tax, but we do have it. We have that tool in our toolbox. So Hayward voters are pretty generous when it comes to passing measures to generate revenue. But one of the things that I keep thinking about is that we need to make a very delicate balance on when, sort of raising taxes or generating revenue from taxpayers and property owners and consumers what was I going to say? Balancing going to voters and asking them to raise taxes and keeping Hayward more affordable and keeping Hayward affordable, right? There's this balance. I would not want, right now Hayward has one of the highest tax rates in the county right now. We're at 10.25%? Yeah, 10.75%. And at the end of the day, when you buy a car, well, bad example. When you buy a TV, I'd like for you to buy that in Hayward, right? And I know I have Mayor May over there, but I certainly wouldn't want you to go to Fremont to buy a TV. I don't know what your tax rate is over there, but so the question. So to go back to your answer is that we're really going to have to think about this as a city, as truly as a city. Is that what are the amenities that we want in our city, and how far are we willing to pay for them? And we just there's families out there that are struggling, as we all know here, right? And we work with those families, and we see them every day, so that's a conversation that I think as a community and as community leaders that we're going to have sometime. Yeah. So Frank Farrell is getting up, and is that it? Is that it? Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for that.